Hey, what's going on YouTube? I'm D, and you are now watching New Touch Auto. This video here, we back with the update. 3 months later, the H2 Hummer vinyl wrap. Yeah, it looks good. But we really gonna get down and dirty, man, because most of the time you got to see this stuff in person, man, and up close. Everything looks good from a distance, but we're gonna get up close. We're gonna talk about the issues that I have currently, how can I avoid those issues at a rookie level, and then we're gonna talk about the effects from the seasonal weather. I'm gonna talk about what I do like and also what I don't like. So y'all buckle up, man. Stay tuned. So here we are, 3 months later, man. That's 3 months later, and it still looks good. I really can't complain about the materials that I use because it held up well. Some of this car, on this truck, man, I got permanent paint on some areas, and then I got removable wraps. I got hyper dip on there. It's a big mix. On this top, that's carbon fiber. The blue and the carbon is vinyl wrap. Everything still looks good. I really can't complain, like I said. But we're gonna go over all the things that I would do differently. We're gonna go over the issues that I ran across throughout the 3 months. Then we're just gonna talk about spray wraps versus the liquid wraps. What do I prefer? We're gonna talk about all that. This right here, material that I use is a Chinese brand. It's not even the American made brand. So just imagine when I use the American made brand and the differences it has versus this type brand. Chinese brand, the carbon fiber and the blue. It held up pretty good. But if I was to order, I'm going for either Vivid, Avery, 3M, or something to the nature of the better wrap versions that's in the United States. So here we are sitting at June 11th. Last I posted the video, previous video was April 11th. So we 3 months later. We're gonna jump right into the things I pretty much had issues with or had an issue from the day-to-day weather. Now these seasonal weathers can pretty much depict whether this here is gonna stick right or if it's on there properly. Now, if you go into the sun and things start unraveling or folding up, that means you got an issue. You didn't apply it correctly. In my case, I'm a rookie when it comes to full body liquid wraps. I did well, in my opinion, but offering services, I must become a professional. Now, let's get into the issues. Show you first issue, carbon fiber, vinyl wrap, just regular wrap. There's a difference. You cannot lay this the same as this. There are levels to these vinyl wraps. Some may be easier, some are harder than most. Some you just can't wrap around things like you can. You just have to take it for what it's worth and just use it for flat surfaces. Now areas like this right here, professionalism is important because you see that unravel. And then I cut right here and it only pulled back because it had too much stretch. This is the carbon fiber. So if I would have done that with regular black gloss wrap, I would have been able to, I probably would have been able to pretty much, you know, master that area. I wouldn't have had this issue, but that's what happens. You had to keep practicing, man. You got to keep practicing. And you see the backside. The reason why I cut it is because I noticed that it was trying to pull away, and I thought, let's see how this react. And that's why I cut it, just to see the reaction. I got way more material in here where I can redo all these areas. But I wanted to keep everything so I can show you. Now when it comes down to certain areas like this right here, I gotta be able to make sure I can get around those areas. Other things like this right here, going up this line, getting tucked into certain areas like this right here, right up under here. I gotta get there. Did pretty good, didn't do too bad. But the other side, that's why I had an issue with. Other side wasn't too well. Because what happened, you gotta make sure you have enough material to stretch along it, because you're gonna put your hands behind that vinyl. And when you put your hands behind it, if it's hot and you're sweating, you're gonna pretty much eliminate the glue stick. It's not gonna stick well. So if you look right here, I wasn't able to get in there. Once I got it in there, it didn't really stick. But some people, they put Primer 97 down, make it stick. That'll work too. Area here, I had to patch up because I didn't stretch it long. I didn't stretch it far enough. My material was short. I couldn't even reach right there. Now when it comes to, let me see, areas like this right here. When it comes to areas like tucking and getting inside grooves, you gotta apply that heat and then you lay it down. Areas like this right here, apply your heat and then smoothen it down. But smooth it down and try to avoid those glue lines. Glue lines gonna rip you apart. You're gonna hate those. So you gotta be able to learn your squeegee motion. Now if you don't, you're gonna run across these kind of issues. Like right here, if you don't apply that heat properly and get it into those grooves, it's only gonna pop back. And it's gonna leave that distorted area and you're not gonna like it. The way to avoid that, this is the issue. I'll show you what it looks like. You see how that pulled back right here? Everything is perfect. Then when it comes here, it's kind of pulling back. To avoid that, what you would want to do is just do it in pieces. But make sure you overlap it properly so it doesn't show, like the line doesn't face up. Make sure your overlap is your last piece that's facing down. So what you would do is go ahead and do this in one piece by itself, but you would do this piece first. Do this piece first, that's one piece, and then you would do this piece second. That's the second piece overlapping that bottom piece so you don't see the line. And make sure you hide it inside the line. Hide it there. You gotta understand, man, this is vinyl wrap. This isn't permanent paint. A lot of people get it confused and they try to compare the two. You can't do that. Now, another issue, probably the biggest issue that I had. Biggest issue, and this is something that'll help you out. Know your paint's condition, all right? They got ways to where you can get certain vinyl wraps that don't have as much adhesion as the others. But you gotta do your research on the vinyl wraps. So you see that right there? You see it? That's terrible, man. I left it on there because I wanted to show you all the effects that you can get when you're dealing with certain panels, certain angles that you had to curve around, all that. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm gonna get a better view. Let's see. All right, you can see it better that way. Now you see that right there? I know you wondering, what is that? All right, what happened here was, as I was applying the vinyl wrap, apparently this vehicle has aftermarket paint. And when I was applying it and pulling it back, trying to adjust it, it literally peeled the paint off. Now, when you run across something like that, what you gotta do is, you gotta go underneath, sand this down, smooth it down, especially when you're doing a customer's vehicle. You gotta smooth it down, and then you gotta make sure you apply it the right way so you don't peel up anymore. And when you peel it up, your wrap is pretty much destroyed. You can't do nothing about that because that paint is gonna stick to the back of that wrap. Some people apply vinyl wraps with soap and water. Not much, but a little soap and water, it helps it glide on properly, and it gives you the opportunity to readjust the wrap if you need to. So in my case, like I said, that's the things that you gotta learn. But that's what happens. I ended up going right over it. I got rid of the wrap that I had and I went right over it. I got way more material. I can replace this, but on the customer car, I would have got that done right before I would have given them this vehicle or their vehicle. So that's what happened. I went right over it without sanding it down after the paint came off. And that's the vision that you're gonna get. You don't see it as much, but certain colors, yeah, you're gonna see that real good. Now other areas, I know in the last video, some of y'all saw this right here. Nah, that's from somebody trying to get in the door. Maybe from a previous owner. They tried to jack their way into that door, and that's why that looks like that. So that's not bubbles or anything. That's just the way the door is molded. Now when it comes to this carbon fiber, it doesn't wrap around like normal. I had a lot of issues with this. So I'll probably get more education on the carbon and stuff like that, but I stick to the flat surfaces, just flat edges. That's what I stick to. Anything that's flat edge, I'll stick to. When it comes down to curving around stuff, you gotta know how to do it, because see that right there? If you don't get this stuff in there right, that's what happens. You get bubbles like this. This material doesn't act the same as the blue vinyl portion. Around here, it's not nice. See that? That's because it came up and I decided to cut the area, and nah, it didn't go too well. So I left it on now. I got more material, like I said, I can replace all this. And then this area here, got that same thing. Got the wrinkles. And that's what happens if you don't do it right. The wrinkles will happen. Just gotta know what you're doing. Other areas, when you're doing your cuts, make sure you take your time. Because you see right here, you see those cuts right there? I got 2 cuts. That's a tedious area to be cutting around. So you gotta take your time. Just make sure your blade is sharp so you don't have to keep trying to go over things, but take your time. You don't want to give a customer that. This is my personal vehicle, but customers, if you're gonna offer your services, you gotta know what you're doing. Now, other than that, man, I didn't have too many issues. Those are like rookie mistakes that I learned, and of course I get over it. I get past it. It's a small speed bump. Area back here, one more. Right there, like I said, it lifts up if you don't do it. So in my case, next time I'll do this piece in one piece. Then I do the middle in one piece, and I do the bottom in one piece. That'll save me any time of something lifting up. I won't have that issue. All right, YouTube, listen, I done showed y'all all the defects, the issues. I done showed you everything. And I'm gonna say this first and foremost, I'm a rookie. When it comes down to applying pretty much a full body vehicle of vinyl wrap, I'm a rookie. Let's get that out the way. But guess what? Practice makes perfect. So I'll be a professional very soon because I've already worked with this stuff. I just never applied it with full body. But as I continue to practice, I learn the products, I learn the materials, I learn everything about it before I offer the services to a customer. You gotta know your products, man, because all vinyl wraps aren't the same. Just notate that. Now, when it comes down to issues, those issues could have been avoided. All I had to do is pretty much do things differently. Some areas, some curves you can't fight, so you may have to do overlays or underlays or whatever. You have to do it sometimes. You got to know when, and you got to know how. When it comes down to everything else, paint products, when it comes down to, let's say, that grill, that's a permanent paint job at the bottom. This here is Hyper Dip. That's a liquid spray wrap. Permanent. You can't compare the two. All right. If I work with, say, Autoflex would have replicated this very well. Or maybe Spherical Gloss, dealing with real products or, you know, something to that nature. It would have replicated it well. That right there is Hyper Dip. It's not gonna compare the same. All right, that vinyl wrap, carbon fiber, regular, it don't lay the same. You gotta know your materials, man, because all vinyl wraps have different levels. So study your stuff, study it, man. It's imperative that you do. Issues like that side where the paint peel, I'm gonna tell you something. If you want to save yourself the stress, notate that in a clause before that customer exchange money with you, because you have to let them know there's a possibility that this stuff is strong. There's other ways to apply this stuff, but more so the professionals know how to do it, or you can watch it and learn how to do it. But some people apply soap and water underneath to lessen the adhesion. It gives them more room to maneuver and be able to peel back and stuff like that. But let that customer know that it's a possibility that this could peel up paint that's aftermarket. Maybe some even any kind of paint, but let them know that. Now, when it comes down to questioning, despite all the issues that I had and the defects that I ran across, will I ever use vinyl wraps again on a full body vehicle? Of course. I love working with vinyl wraps, man. It's a challenge to me. I don't care what type it is, but the brand does matter. I will continue to work with vinyl wraps. Vinyl wraps has a lot of benefits, man. A lot of benefits. And I'm not gonna get into it, but it has a lot, trust me. So I'll continue to work with this because I intend on implementing this into my services. So I'll continue to practice, get better at it, and then I'm gonna show you some of the work that I have in the future. I got other jobs lined up with vinyl wrap, so I'll be able to show y'all that too. All right. This right here, man, my first time doing full vehicles, man. Hey, most people don't show you issues up close. They don't even do that because from afar, everything looks perfect. It look perfect. But when you get up close, they ain't gonna admit those issues, man. But listen, practice makes perfect. Y'all got any questions, any additional comments that you wanna add, go ahead and do so in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I wanna know, what do you think? All right, rate me. Let's say 1 to 5. Rate me 1 to 5. Let me know how I did. Let me know if I got a future in this. Let me know. All right. Thank y'all for checking out this video. I'll catch y'all on the next one.